If we don't have any changes to the minutes from the last meeting, can we get a motion to approve?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Stan. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving right along. Audrey, do you want to take something out of order since you have a guest there?
No, I think Scott, you're okay with staying, right? Yeah, I think it would be good for Scott to experience the meeting. He's been with the library for 15 years.
Wow.
The lion's share of that has been part-time, and he basically worked his way up from part-time page to clerk, to senior clerk, to library technician, then he got his degree in library science, so then as a librarian, and now he's the head of collection support services. Now, I probably should have waited until he actually presented to say all that, but having said that, I'd like him to experience the meeting. So, yeah, we can go in order. We could just go.
Well, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
All right, so unfinished business. We have the library board report to city council, and Jen, thank you for updating it. It looks great to me. Do any of the board members have any comments or any changes they want to make?
I don't have any changes. I just wanted to once again thank Jen for all of her efforts. I think it looks great.
And it's good to see you.
Yes.
All right. Then if we have no changes or comments to it, I think we'll go ahead and take a motion to approve the report as it's presented. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve it as presented.
I'll second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Then I will sign it when the final is done and we'll submit it. Thank you. Moving right along, new business. Do we have some info on library statistics?
Yes, and that's where we have asked, we thought Jen and I both thought it'd be a really good idea for Scott to present. Because as you know, everybody's using the word pivot and pandemic, but it's true. So when last year at this time, everything
Sorry, Audrey, is it possible to turn your microphone up?
Is that done?
Yeah, if you move it close, I'll turn it up right now.
Okay, like this? Does that help?
Yes, kind of have it.
Okay, good. So basically that last year at this time, everything was in-house programs. So, you know, we of course had social media, et cetera, but in-house programs, just like the Big Read would have been an in-house program. So we've had to segue, reinvent ourselves. And once again, for those that are listening, I should identify myself. I'm Audrey Lujan, City Librarian, but I'm very proud of our staff that we were asked to close our doors on March 16th. And as of March 23rd, we were open for service again, even though our doors were shut, offering every point of service possible, with the exception of public access computers, because you have to come into the library for that. So what that basically presented was now, how are we going to collect that data? Because we report to you, as we should, as our city council appointed representatives for the community. We also have to report to the state library. And then of course to the city for budget time, performance measures. So our statistics are extremely important. And so thinking about how are we going to segue and properly account for all of that data? Well, I left it to those who are better at that. First of all, Scott not only has his degree in library science, he also has a GIS degree. And am I missing anything else on your exemplary educational background and expertise? No? Okay, great. So anyways, I will turn it over to Scott now to explain about how we're going to be keeping statistics.
Hi, I'm Scott Fretwell, Library Services Coordinator. So we made some changes this new fiscal year. So I'll go down line by line, tell you what is new. And then we did make some revisions to the 1920 fiscal year report. So we could get those virtual numbers reported, because as Audrey was saying, we made a major pivot. And all of our programming is now currently online rather than in person like it was previously. So if you're looking at this fiscal year, you'll see that there's a couple new rows added. First is in-house use. That's not being recorded yet currently because we're not open to the public. Once we are open to the public, we will be counting that. And basically that is here at Central, our circ staff will be 3 times a day going around the library looking for books that are left on the table. They've been pulled off from the shelves and put aside. And they're going to bring those back to the desk and check those in, and that will be counted as an in-house use. So they did use it, but they didn't take it outside of the library. Next is a line for permanent circulation, and that is a lot of our other branches are getting books, and they are giving them out to the community, to children, and they get to keep these books. So we are trying to measure that. And so each of these is a book we gave to a child, and we had it in starting in July. So it's already at 8,217. Actually, that's just, sorry, that is for July. So, and for August, it's away at 18,221. We've given almost 20,000 books in the first 2 months of the fiscal year. And these are books the children will get to keep and reread. And especially now with COVID, it's harder to get library materials. So it's another avenue to, expand our mission of literacy to the public.
And for those that are listening or watching this particular board meeting, those permanent loan books are funded by alternate resources. They are not funded with taxpayer dollars. So, for example, the Anaheim Public Library Foundation, the Friends of Anaheim Public Library, Friends of the Canyon Hills Library. We also receive money from Kiwanis of Greater Anaheim, from We Give Thanks. So we have, and then from grants as well. So state grants. So all of the books that are quote unquote permanent loan are funded with alternate resources, because obviously we should not be giving permanent loan of books that are purchased with our general fund out. They eventually need to return. Even during COVID, they need to return. But so these, and as well as STEAM kits, all of those are by alternate funds and private donors. Private donors have also written checks for this particular literacy initiative.
So the next line I want to mention is the COVID due date extensions. This is a temporary field that we added. And this is basically because we can't run our date in program right now. So most of our normal circulation stats are not being reported. There's no way for me to get them, unfortunately. So what's happening is, instead of, because we are extending due dates, patrons are not renewing books like they normally would. So instead, we are extending the due dates for the patrons. Every so often, our staff will go in and extend those due dates. And as you can see, this started back, well, I don't have too much, but you should have, it started in March, and it's still going now through August, where we've been extending those due dates. So we are counting that. Normally we would be counting renewals, but since we can't count renewals at the moment, this is the way we're counting, showing the renewals happening where our books are out. And they're out much longer than they used to be, because obviously we've been close to the public. So it's just giving you an idea of the amount of books we have circulating even while we're closed. Next, the next line is item requests. So item request, if you're familiar placing request online for a book or with staff, that's what this is recording. The amount of times our items are being requested by patrons. This usage has gone way up because of COVID, and curbside, because it's one of our major ways of getting books to patrons, is using patron requests with this curbside service. So the numbers are way up, and it does take a lot of staff time. Just to give you an example, Some of the branches in the morning when they run their request, they have 100 books they need to search for or more. So it takes a lot of staff time, and so that is what we're measuring there. Next is online resource sessions. So we have databases that the public can use, and they're being used more than ever right now because of COVID. And we decided now the new fiscal year is a good time to start recording that usage. So our sessions, each time a person logs in, say we have Newsbank where you can look at the Orange County Register. So each time someone logs in using their library book card and get it authenticated against the database, that gets recorded, and that session is recorded. So as you can see, through August, we've had 6,000. And so this includes our homework help, Newsbank, our Gale courses, all the different resources we offer to the public.
They're also listed on their digital report, so you can always check to see exactly what that entails.
Thank you, Jeff. Next you'll see at the bottom under programs, a major difference that we made is we have a line now for outreach programs. And that is because since we've been closed because of COVID, one of the big things that we've expanded, we did outreach previously in the community, but expanded big time because we are close to the public. So our staff are going out more to where there's events happening and doing outreach for the community. And so that's being tracked separately now. So that can be measured to show how much, since it's such an important activity that we're doing now. So we are having that separate. It used to be part of special programs and other. So last fiscal year, that's where that was. But now in the new fiscal year, we will have that separate line for it. Next, we have a new column, and it's pretty much towards the left of your page, called virtual. Next to you have your different columns, the branches, central, Euclid, etc. So there's a column now for virtual, and virtual is our virtual programs. So, and that can be, it's a mix of Facebook and Instagram views and then Zoom participants. So as you can see, the numbers they're different. They are different from what we are reporting in the past, because in the past it was each person attending. So this is each view, and it's just counting each view, so it's not counting. We do, for the state report, do ×3 for some of the viewing, for live viewing. There's none of that in what is being reported here. It's just strictly the amount of views each of our programs have had online, along with those Zoom participants. So as you can see, it's kind of drastically changed our numbers. If you compare it to last fiscal year, we only had, through August, 8,302 attendees, and now we have 38,317 in August. And it's much easier to view stuff online, and everyone's home, so the reach is much broader. So I know the numbers may seem like a massive increase, but you got to think, it's much easier to sit in your home and put on Facebook and watch the video, while in the past, people have to actually drive into the library, get their kids, and come to the program. So that, due to people being homebound because of COVID, and then just the easier access of online, is why those numbers are so different compared to last year.
But I would add, Scott, it's the quality of our programs, because other libraries, and I don't have a comprehensive report on that, the state library eventually will have it. Our numbers actually rock the charts. We have had people from Spain, England, Canada watching once they've seen the quality of our virtual programming. So unfortunately, other jurisdictions, when they do for example, their emergent literacy or story times, it's a librarian in her office, or maybe in her living room, with not a lot of props, so not a lot of whatever. The story is still being told, okay? And that's still a good thing, but we are fortunate to have, as you all know, Chloe and Anli. And then thank you to the Muckenthaler, particularly Victoria from the Muckenthaler. They funded a studio here at Central in the basement so that we could even be more professional, because before our communications team would go to the branch, set up, etc. So I think by the fact that we, all of our virtual programs are done in-house, not just because of the studio, but that does enhance it, but even before, the quality is different. You've got all your props, etc. And then what we do here that you may not know, it's a competition of who gets to perform. Okay, so we have, as you know, part-timers, and we've got part-time library assistants, part-time technicians, part-time librarians, and they all want the opportunity to be able to do a story time, emergent literacy, a food program. You've seen the food programs by Tony, etc. Well, you have to create a proposal. You have to create a proposal of what you are going to actually do. And then it's vetted through our experts, Nisa for children's, Emily for teens, Joe for adult. And those are the programs that are selected, because we can't, the communications team can't spend every minute at work doing a program. I mean, just, you know, taping these programs, etc., recording these programs. So we only take the best of the best. And it basically is just like if you want to present at a conference, it goes to a committee, you write your proposal, what your intention is to convey to the audience, what age group, what props are you going to use, what books are you going to use, what is the theme, etc. And that's vetted by the committee, and then those are the ones that are selected. So I think that's really why we have the numbers that we have.
Thank you, Audrey. So that's everything we've added. Do any of you have any questions about any of the new additions I mentioned?
I have an unrelated question when you're done with your presentation, Scott.
So yeah, I've presented everything that we've added, so you could go ahead and ask your question.
Well, I normally give Audrey or Jennifer a day's notice when I have a question, but 10 minutes ago, before this meeting, I went on to the website to order my usual weekly books, and the new Jodi Picoult and the new Bill O'Reilly, Killing Crazy Horse, both of them had on offer Google Preview, and I've never seen that before. You couldn't quite get the book, you went to Google Preview, and what does that mean?
Google Preview. Well, Google Preview, I know if you go to Google Preview, it'll show you a preview of the book so you can see, and a lot of places do. Amazon offers a preview too. If you click on that, it'll show you, sometimes it could be only 10 pages, sometimes it's the first 30 pages of the book. Oh yeah, Tom, sorry, John too.
Okay, I'm gonna. Hi, my name is Don Hilliard. I was off camera doing tech support, but I can answer the question regarding Google Preview. So our Cersei Dynex Horizon integrated library system has a new feature where items from our catalog are now automatically, some items from our catalog are automatically shown in Google Preview. And so what that is, it's a way to market our collection more effectively. So people just doing general Google searches for a particular author or title have the opportunity to see not only, you know, what might be available from Amazon or what might you know, be available from other sources, but they have the chance to see what's available in your local library. So that's why you are seeing that. Now, I do have the disclaimer that they're resolving an issue, whereas it shows a listing, but then you click on it, and there have been some reports of the link not resolving to the catalog like it's supposed to. So Cersei Dynex support is working on that. I can tell you at the moment it seems to work better in the Firefox browser than Chrome, but again, they're still looking into that to resolve it.
Okay, Don, I have a question then.
Yes.
So this is a brand new service that Cersei Dynex, our integrated library system vendor software supporter, is
It's actually, it's something that was set up it's actually been in place for some months. So over time, it kind of is supposed to populate more and more results into Google. So it's something that's been in place for a few months now.
When it gets perfected, can you devise a message that we can make sure that we keep our library board, foundation friends, et cetera, updated?
Sure.
And then also probably for the library staff as well,
Mhm.
because they may end up getting those questions too. Because thank you, Linda. I'm glad Don was in the room to answer it, because
Yeah.
this is news to me as well. Thank you.
Sure, you're
All
welcome.
right, awesome. Okay. So any other questions for Scott? And Scott, would you like to stay for the rest of the meeting? Okay, great. In case somebody thinks of a question afterwards.
Oh, David, you're muted. You're muted, Dave.
Can you hear me now? There
We
we
can
go.
hear you now.
All right, next item, Linda, Facebook, social media.
Well, I was discussing with Audrey that I'm a Facebook fan and I get a lot of information from the library and watch the programs there. And I wanted to ask my fellow board members, how many, by a show of hands or whatever, are on Facebook?
Yes.
Shelby? Stan?
Can't see my hand? Oh,
Oh. So does your hand say that you're on Facebook?
well, no, not too much. I'm not a big Facebook user.
Then are we on Instagram? What are we as a board on for social media to observe what's going on for the library plans and programs, please?
Twitter, Facebook,
Okay.
that's about it.
I do Facebook, Instagram, and well, TikTok, but that's not a library thing.
Okay. Thank you, Shelby.
I'm not a regular on any of those formats, although I am a pretty big news aggregator fan, and I use those as the principal places I go to.
Well, I would like to encourage the board, if you see some library programs or Facebook items, share them. I think that could be a minimum responsibility for us, is just to share it on our Facebook or our social media sites. Chloe does an outstanding job, and it just saddens me if there's wonderful content and we're not sharing it with the public to the rest of our Facebook friends and all. So that was my comment.
Great idea.
An unrelated comment, since I guess I have the floor, was the trivia, the history trivia night that we did. That was advertised through Facebook and social media and trying to share some of it. We had 13 people attend, and I was disappointed because at the live first event that we had at the Central Library, 30 or 40 people came. So I thought it was a kind of an indicator of attendance by Zoom. And I spoke to the person who organized it, and they said, no, 13 was great. We had so many new people, and I think 4 that had never even heard of the Anaheim Library or knew we were doing programs. So that counts.
I apologize. I forgot about it.
Well, I'll get better at sending the reminders. Evidently, we're going to do now a phase 2 for the wintertime, January, February, with some new questions for the Anaheim trivia. And I think we'll be able to piggyback on some of the people that did attend and excite them to invite friends. You're not alone, David. Many more people signed up than actually attended, and just life gets away from you, or you forget at 7 o'clock that you. So it's good for us to keep reminding the day of the event too.
Yes, this is true. Well, And I think we should all share with our friends and everyone we have on social media, everything that's happening at the library, especially opening the library. We're all looking forward to that.
I know, Shelby, you've mentioned that you send the story times and the virtual streaming to your friends, right?
Yeah, I have been doing that.
That's great. Anything else, Linda?
No,
Nope. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I guess moving on, is it election time again? Seems like we just did this. Do we have any recommendations for chairman, vice chairman, or chairwoman, should I say?
yes, I'd like to nominate you, Dave, for doing such a good job as our chair, and Vice Chair Stan. You guys are an awesome duo, and I think we should just continue with that leadership.
Are you sure you're not getting tired of us?
I'll back Dave 100%, but my term will end before we're termed out after 8 years, and my term will end out in June of 2021. So I wouldn't be able to complete a full year. So I think someone else should be the vice chairman. Not that I'm resistant to doing it. I just think if you're not going to do it for the full year, and that's spelled out, we should recognize that.
Stan and I are termed out at the same time, or at least I don't know. What have I been on for 4 years again? I lost track of time.
Well, I've done a full 8, so
June
that's
2021.
I can't be reappointed.
Well, both of our terms end on the same date next year, so
I believe mine does too, but I'm going to take the second 4-year term if asked. And I would like to think you would too, David.
I would love to if the city council keeps going. Who knows what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be better to have Linda as the vice chairman, because like I say, I cannot be reappointed when my term ends in June.
Okay, well, do we have any other nominations for chair and vice chair other than myself and Linda? I will.
Thank you, Stan, but I'm going to decline the nomination. I had a little sentence written. I love to be an active member of a tribe as an Indian. I don't want to be a chief.
Okay, well then I will accept the nomination for chair and pending continuation of the term. And then that means we need a nomination for vice chair. Then I will nominate Shelby.
I second that.
Sounds great.
I appreciate that, but I think I too am going to have to decline. We're homeschooling currently, so we've got a lot on our plate, at least till the end of the school year there. So I'm not confident that I would be able to step into that role at this time.
If you would like, we can do just the chair. We can hold off on the vice chair until Rose is in attendance next month, and maybe she would be interested in it.
Great idea.
We don't want to throw her under the bus while she's not here.
I mean, you can vote in you can elect her, and just pending her acceptance of it. So we can go ahead with that, and then if she
Can we-
says we won't have
Can
to
we
do it
delay
again.
the nominations until the next meeting? Well, hopefully everyone will be there.
Okay.
Well,
Let's,
the only one that would be vice chair then, right? For next
So
meeting.
you can go ahead and go ahead and elect
Chair.
chair.
okay, so do we have a motion to accept, I guess, me as chair for the next term?
I
think Linda-
presented the motion and I
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
I
All right, I will accept that. Let's table vice chair election until the next meeting when hopefully Rose will be in attendance. All right, moving on. Audrey, you have some good news for us?
Well, I can blend capital projects and budget all into one. Budget's really easy. those of you who watch city council meetings, we're still on hold, so to speak, as to the financial situation of the city. But having said that, we have been given, as I said to the library board, the green light to go ahead and proceed with the opening of Central Library, Monday, October 26th. The hours of operation, we try to do it as fiscally responsible as possible, but still to offer, you know, adequate services, well, more than adequate, because Anaheim Public Library is definitely more than adequate services to the Anaheim community, is we are going to be open from 11 in the morning to 7 at night, because all of our data says that between 5 and 7, and once again, with the pandemic, more people are going back to work, children may be going back to school, if not every day, but maybe 30%, so to speak, as some of the proposals are, 30 from some of the school districts. So we wanted to make sure that we gave adequate opportunity for our public to be able to come to Central Library. And then the two other, well, this is the way I look at it. You want to look at your, for want of a better word, your properties. And so Central is one of the largest with the biggest collection. Right after that is Haskett on the west end, and then Canyon on the east end. So until we hear further about budget, that's how we're going to proceed. And as I mentioned earlier, we're opening Haskett and Canyon on November 9th because they are vote centers. So we wanted two things. We wanted to test out how did Central go for 2 weeks, lessons learned, and then also get beyond vote center. So we don't have, as you know, the vote centers are usually in the multi-purpose rooms, et cetera, and there's a lot of cross traffic then. And I'm hoping the vote centers will be extremely popular, as they were last year. So we'll get a lot of traffic for that. Okay. So nothing on budget at this time. Capital projects, pretty much where we're at is we're having a meeting next week with Community Development Block Grant on the Central project and the Euclid project. As Jen reported last meeting, we've got a property line situation over at Euclid that the attorneys need to weigh in on and get to City Council. There's two different plots of land. It's very complicated. But Community Development Block Grant, which reports back to the federal government, is very anxious to get something moving at Central, because we've had that money, as you may have noticed, for several years. We've made progress, but we need to make more progress. So what's holding us back now is combining the projects so that we can get, have a better bid rate. So, which is what we did at Founders Park in Central before. Okay, a couple of years ago, and that worked out well. So we're going to have a meeting with CDBG next week, I believe it is, to say, okay, you want us to move, so we probably need to separate the projects again, Euclid and Central, and then maybe see if Public Works can take on the project. But with all the federal guidelines, and I'm not an expert in Community Development Block Grant, that's why we need our experts from City Hall to weigh in on that one. Okay, and also get an ETA from the Attorney's Office, how quickly the other recommendation will move to City Council. So I'll have more to report at the next meeting. The other exciting news is that I decided to approach CDBG and say, the windows, Dave, you're gonna like this one, the windows at the Carnegie really need to be restored, as you know, they're slipping. Okay. And, you know, I asked Jane, does she mind if I push forward on that one? And so CDBG is going to consider it, and that's gonna be part of that meeting as well. So maybe I'll have some happy news about that for the restoration of those windows. I hope I'm not misquoting, Jen, but I think it's about $70,000. And depending on if they're going to do the painting and the trim and everything else, and remember, it's a historic building, it could be as much as $100,000. But I'll get better, you know, those were old quotes that Jane got back in 2018, you know, just for the purposes of supplemental requests. So if CDBG is interested in funding it, then we'll get some firm.
Are you talking about the front windows and the rear windows?
And all restored.
Okay,
Yes, I think she told me there were 11, but maybe it's 7. I can get more info for the next meeting. So fingers crossed on that.
that's great.
So that was really the updates on capital projects at this time.
That's all you got for us today?
That is, yes.
All
Well,
right.
I think the biggest thing is actually getting your report to, obviously to the city council on the condition of the library as appointed by the city council. And what we usually do, once you've signed it, David, then we will also send it on to the new city manager. And of course, Greg, who's the assistant city manager, who knows about this
Mhm.
because he's done it so many years in the past, but it'll be a good intro to Anaheim Public Library. You know, having that letter before him, the new city manager. And just a piece of information, I invited the new city manager to tour Anaheim Public Library, and I was hoping the bookmobile, but it's not rolling, so I'll have to do that another time. So the city manager will be joining me, first of all, at Haskett on November 5th at 3 o'clock, so they can see Grandma's House of Hope food distribution at Haskett, as well as our outreach effort, where we give away permanent loan, once again, not funded by the city, and then coming to Central. So there may be opportunities for more intros to Anaheim Public Library once we get the bookmobile operational, and if AESD opens up its schools, we'll have Ponderosa joint use as well.
Great. Are you
So
going to
that
have,
does conclude my report.
are you going to planning on having any special guests at the grand reopening at Haskett? I mean, sorry, Central.
No. As far as, well, you could be a special guest. Everybody can be a special guest. Our public is our special guest. I can speak for myself, and I'm sure it's the sentiments of my staff too. This has been very difficult. We didn't go into public library service we're doing great jobs, obviously, with outreach, et cetera, and all of the virtual, but when you talk to our library assistants and librarians that have been doing the virtual, you're playing to a camera, so you really have to use your imagination. And you can see how wonderfully they do that, but it's difficult because usually you get the reaction of the children and the families and the parents. And, you know, back in the day, we had large crowds. We had 150, 200, 300 people at some of our programs. So it's been a very difficult time. So the opening of Central's doors is going to be amazing. I will be front and center. We're going to have a greeter's desk out there where Joe and Tom are probably going to be the first ones, you know, and we're going to have to do the count of no more than 110 for our 25% attendance. But I'll be out there front and center, walking up and down the line, greeting my public. So Linda, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
And I was interrupting you, but we have had as a mascot in the past Wild Wing, and he's masked. Perhaps we could ask him to come to the curb and wave some people in.
What I'd like to do is try out all of our COVID precautions first. I really would.
A soft opening.
And I'm not saying, and
Makes
we're not
sense.
doing a soft unadvertised opening. Chloe worked with Public Information Office, Mike Lister, and so there's a press release going out. We're gonna get it out to everybody, you know, all of our usual contacts for the media here in Anaheim, so people will be well aware. There already was a patron point message sent out to 70,000 people in regard to how we're prepping for it. So we want to, with the fact that it's 110 capacity for, you know, at this point, and 1 hour, you know, 1 hour per person, 1 hour for whatever, you know, time limit, so to speak. I kind of want to test it out and do lessons learned here at Central first. But yes, if we get the ability to, if everything goes wonderfully here at Canyon and at Haskett at the 2 weeks afterwards, I would not be opposed to doing some kind of celebration by any stretch of the imagination. I call it staging it for success.
Mhm.
And so what we have done, thank you to Thomas and everybody else, is we've gleaned the best of the best ideas throughout the nation, not just California, in opening public libraries.
Mhm.
And so we are instituting the best of the best, and I want to make sure that that actually works. We also have had, I call it intel, we've had some of our librarians, particularly Keely Hall, who going out to other libraries that have opened. So she went to Tustin, which had a 15 capacity. The Tustin branch or Orange County Public Library had a 15 capacity,
Wow.
15 people in, and it was a grab and go. You really didn't get to come into the library per se. There were books, there was grab and go, and you left. She also went, Mary Nelleman went to 2 other libraries. I haven't gotten a report on that. Emily Otis went to Placentia, so she is going to be sending me her report on how that went. And then Keely, and our former city librarian that Dave knows and Stan knows, is Carol Stone, went to the Bowers to see how that worked out. And that was very interesting. It was a 1-hour time. You paid $22 to see the Disney collection. You had a 1-hour time limit as well, where I believe in the past, once you had paid your gate, there was not a time limit for.
Yeah, that's
exhibits.
correct.
So, yes, I think you're familiar with that as well, Shelby. So it'll be interesting. But I love the ideas. Thank you. And
Great.
we eventually always use your ideas because they're fantastic ideas.
Audrey, I think the new city manager for Anaheim came from Buena Park. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And that's an unusual one because they don't have a library. They have a special district and a standalone staff. So he hasn't, in his portfolio, doesn't have libraries and library experience, I don't think. Because I think he was the assistant city manager, and then he's been the city manager there for, I think, 10 years. So you're going to be getting somebody who's learning on the job about how libraries work and how you fit into it.
And that was exactly my plan, Stan.
I think that's
make sure that,
a challenge.
Knowing that, yes, Buena Park is a special district, standalone. What I did is I sent him, actually, I waited, week or 2, and then the Anaheim Independent article where we won the national awards for the John Cotton Dana and the American Library Association awards. I took a print copy, not a Xerox copy, an actual Anaheim Independent issue, and put a note on it that here's your Anaheim Public Library, an award-winning library, and I'd like you to come and see it in person. And of course, he was very receptive to that, and that's how this meeting came to be. I've also sent him the September e-newsletter for Anaheim Public Library, because September library card sign-up month is very important to us, as you can imagine. So I sent him that as well. So those are the 2 things that I sent to him as an intro before we had the opportunity to meet. This way it gave him some background about Anaheim Public Library.
Great. Anything else, Audrey?
No, that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the green attachments? Stan, any questions?
Yeah, just a little bit. I think the new numbers were, by the way, thank you, Audrey. I think some of the things you said about how you try people out for the jobs explains one of the main things I saw with the at the very bottom of the page where it talks about these new virtual numbers. Boy, it sure is a significant amount of people are coming in for these programs, and particularly the attendance at Euclid and Haskett compared to the other libraries. And normally we get such big numbers at Canyon and Central, but if people are trying out for it and their programs are the ones that you're choosing, I guess that helps explain why those 2 are so much dramatically higher than the other ones. The fewer programs and bigger attendance at Euclid and Haskett was a little bit of a surprise too. But the most things these numbers tell us is that how the whole system is clobbered by the closings and COVID. you close down 2 libraries and that damages you. And you look at something like Canyon, where I saw the overall attendance is down 2/3 by all counts, including the electronics. Those are all make these hard to judge compared to previous experiences. Yeah, it's not a very rosy picture when your overall activity is down by 2/3 over a period of time. And that's pretty much what I drew when I looked at it, using the test of what's going on at Canyon is the best indicator. So no, they're disturbing, but it's understandable why they're disturbing. And Audrey stepped up and explained why there were some anomalies, and that was helpful too. Thank you.
And the other thing I want to mention, Stan, thank you very much about mentioning how highly competitive it is, for the programs, is that the majority of libraries throughout the state, for sure, at least in Orange County, is that when they shut down in March, they stayed shut down until June or July or August to open. And some of them are just looking at it now, whereas we started right away. I think the thing is that the outreach helps, because if your doors aren't open, you have to find another way to communicate. Virtually, of course, I understand, and social media, the whole bit, but another way to communicate with your public and in person. So it was very COVID safe. It was at like Scott mentioned the numbers, it was at food distribution sites for the Y, and I know you sit on the board of the Y, Linda, so you know those are all very safe food distributions, the Anaheim Elementary School District, the high school district. So we attended those, and once again, we're very COVID safe, and that's where we gave out the permanent loan funded by alternate sources and other literature, everything from promoting census or vote or the STEAM kits. So I think by making, the other thing that made it so engaging is that if you, and Shelby can probably attest this more so than I could, is that when you have children and you want to do, for example, watching a program on a STEAM program, well, it's nice to actually have the STEAM kit right in front of you. You've
Yeah,
got all the
definitely.
fixins.
Definitely.
So
Absolutely.
that's something, and in fact, it was interesting because when Tony at Euclid wanted to do one of the STEAM classes, et cetera, workshops, and he asked Katrina, he goes, oh, I made 50 kits. She said, you need to make 400 kits minimum, 400 kits minimum. So people were requesting them via curbside. So we would make sure that they got whatever they wanted plus the kits. Yes, so anyways, thank you, Stan.
Any other questions on statistics? Any comments on activities? I would like to commend the staff on all their wonderful reports, especially the pictures from all the activities. They're great. So thank you everyone who does that. Do we have any recommendations for certificates for anyone this month?
Unless there's someone you would like.
I think you should give one to the person who won the Anaheim trivia contest. Whoever that person was, we should encourage people to know more about their city.
And
I got his name and I presented him with a bottle of Colony wine as the first place winner. So
Oh, fun.
Probably even better. Probably even better.
Yeah.
and I'm hoping the winner wasn't Steve Pessel.
it was not. But he was mentioned in the meeting and he said, next time we have our next event, he'll give books away as a prize. His histories of Anaheim books.
That's great. All right. Then I guess we're just about done. Do we have any comments from the board? Shelby?
No, it's just, I just want to reiterate again, just that, based on what I'm looking at and my friends elsewhere, that Anaheim Public Library is just leaps and bounds beyond what I want to say any other library in the country that I've come across is doing. Just the quality of our programs and what we're offering, and then the STEAM kits and the permanent loan. It's just really been incredible. And I just really, I'm so pleased to be able to, you know, play my part in whatever way of being a part of this amazing programming and this, you know, really amazing organization that we have here. And, you know, it's just been incredible.
Thank you. It has been. Linda?
I did have a comment on our conversation when Scott and Audrey were talking about the permanent loan and 20,000 books to kids. I was a part of the kindness bags to seniors last month, and I just want to highlight that Disney put into those bags or donated some collector quality books in that bag, and then Minnie Mouse ears. And that I had so many seniors comment back that they got to share those kinds of fun, expensive Disney gifts to their grandkids. And it was an incentive for the kids to come over and have a coloring book. So whether it was specific to the seniors, Disney really stepped up to the plate and donated us a lot of wonderful items.
That's wonderful. I didn't know that at all.
And we are going to continue we applied for a Anaheim Community Foundation Helping Hands grant to continue the senior kindness kits. And we, unfortunately, we're not awarded that, but that's fine. We have gotten donations from other foundation members, et cetera, other community groups and organizations and individuals. So we're going to continue the initiative for our, as much as we can, for our senior kindness kits. Because I think that's an important population right now that, as long as COVID goes on and the isolation, it just is something that I'm very much an advocate for.
Yeah.
Great program. Stan, do you have anything today?
No, sir.
Kind of quiet today, Stan. We miss seeing your face.
Trying to hide it out.
Well, I have nothing to share. So it was nice seeing everybody. The next meeting is November 9th, virtually, of course. So thank you for attending. We will see you next month, and I guess we'll adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
And thanks, Scott.